Hi, welcome to Conservative Apologetics. Democrats and healthcare reform. President Obama, I'm so sick and tired of hearing him say things like, well, the Republicans are being obstructionists. If they don't want to work with us, just get out of the way. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, kind of thing, And what I'm wondering, President Obama, and this is just the rantings of a crazy right-winger, what I'm wondering is, when are you going to start saying that stuff to the members of your own party? The ones who aren't supporting it. Max Baucus puts out this plan, healthcare reform plan in the Senate. He's a Democrat from Montana, and he chairs the Finance Committee there. And Olympia Snowe, who is a Republican from Maine, kind of a Republican. She's really a Democrat, but she likes to have the title Republican next to her name because I think she thinks we're cool. So she likes to hang out with us. But anyway, Olympia Snowe goes, can't hang with this. Jay Rockefeller, a Democrat from West Virginia, goes, can't hang with this. President Obama, when are you going to realize you've got a majority in the Senate by what, 9 seats? 10 seats in the Senate? You almost got a supermajority. You've got a 57-seat majority in the House, and you can't pass health care reform. Now, it seems to me, Mr. President, that it's not the Republicans holding this thing up. You could jam it through. You've already talked about using reconciliation in the Senate as a tool to get past having to have a supermajority, and just simply vote on it on a majority basis. A simple majority, 51 votes, would pass it. You've got everything in your court. You've got a Democratic president. You've got a Democratic Congress. And you can't get health care passed? Why is that? Could it be because members of your own party don't believe in this thing you're pitching? Members of your own party don't think it will work. Now, you take Max Baucus's plan, for instance, to have health care and have a 35% excise tax or tax on these real Cadillac kind of health care plans. Well, guess what, Mr. President? Your core supporters, the unions, have those Cadillac health care plans. And you're fixing to put a huge excise tax, according to Max Baucus's plan, on insurance companies for offering these plans. Well, guess what? They're not going to want to offer those plans anymore. Well, then they don't offer those plans. Well, then guess what? Suddenly, the companies go, look, I'm sorry, we can't provide this, Mr. Union Leader. I'm sorry. And so then the unions, being the good rank and file liberals they are, go to the government option. Guess what? The government option stinks. It doesn't have near the benefits that their plan did before. Now you're stuck with irritated union members, rank and file union members. So, when you can't even get the Democrats to go along with your plan, Mr. President, it's time to stop playing the silly, stupid little childish game you're playing of finger pointing, going to the Republicans, oh, you're being obstructionist. Start talking to the people in your own party, Mr. President. Start talking to the likes of Jay Rockefeller. Start talking to the likes of the others who've gone, you know what, this isn't going to work. You've got a majority. If the plan was so great, push it through. But see, here's the problem, Mr. President. The Democrats are waking up to the fact America does not want health care reform the way you're doing it. What we need to create true competition is to tear down the barriers to competition and let people buy health insurance across state lines. Let's do some tort reform so that these trial lawyers who, I know, give Democrats lots of money during election time, but to where these trial lawyers can't come in and sue the living daylights out of every doctor, and so the doctors fear it, and so they order all of these tests so they can cover themselves. And of course, it costs more for liability insurance, malpractice insurance, and so consequently, the cost of health care goes up through the roof. Maybe, Mr. President, if you would do things that would really enhance competition, lessen some restrictions and some government regulation, let interstate barriers be torn down to where people can buy health insurance across state lines, and tort reform. You know what? I think then I think we'd see the cost of health care come down. Let's work on getting people off Medicaid and Medicare and into jobs. Let's don't keep people enslaved to welfare. Let's help them get up and out of the system. And that way doctors don't have to settle for the puny reimbursements that Medicaid and Medicare give. Here's the problem, Mr. President. You can't get your own people on board. And when you can't get your own party on board, nothing's going to happen. The American people don't want this. They're protesting. They're letting their voices be known. Kind of like this last weekend. The Washington Post, all these other folks said, there were 80,000 people out there protesting in Washington, D.C. Oh, come on. The European papers were sitting there going, there were 1 million people out there. People stretched from one end of the mall to the other end of the mall. There was a mob out there, a sea of humanity. Don't think, Mr. President, that your Democratic buddies there in Congress aren't looking going, yeah, well, Barack only has a couple of years. I mean, he gets voted out in 4 years. He gets a pension for life. What's he care? He gets an office paid for the rest of his life. What's he care? This is my livelihood. I want to get reelected. So they're looking and they're going, you know what? The American people don't like this. I'm not sure I want to vote for it and put my career on the line for this guy. That's the problem, Mr. President. And you know what? They're smart. But here's the next thing that I think would help our government immensely. Term limits on Congress. Thanks for watching Conservative Apologetics.